Suicide, a perspective. Suicide is one classification of death that has become a growing epidemic of our times. Even though our generation of people have more comfort and convenience than any other in the history of humankind, today there are many studies that suggest a large percentage of the population has contemplated suicide at least once in their lives. Among these, a significant percentage of people have attempted suicide at least once. Currently, in the United States, more people will kill themselves every year than those who get killed by homicide and war put together. And more people die of suicide than road accidents in recent times. This is an indicator of things going seriously wrong with humanity. So, is there any reason or cause for so many people to feel suicidal? Well, there is really no good or bad reason to commit suicide. They just need a reason, that is all. And you can make any reason a good enough one if you want to. If you want today, from morning till evening, you can find 100 reasons as to why you should not live. As for me, I am always searching for a reason to live. Otherwise, I have no reason. So it is not a question of higher or lower reason. It is just that people find a reason, something that pushes them sufficiently to do that. For a majority of people, they feel suicidal because life isn't happening the way they want. Except for medical reasons, the rest is largely because of unrealistic expectations. You are just a tiny speck in this creation. If you look at yourself in the context of creation as a whole, you are nothing. If you understand that you are nothing, you will be only too glad that things are happening to whatever extent they are. You will be too glad that when you are a bloody nothing, when you don't know one thing from another, when you are sitting on this planet in the middle of nowhere, in this vast existence, at least you are breathing. Your heart is beating. You are living and everything is working out well. You don't know anything, nor can you control it, nor can you manage it, but still it is happening well. So, if you understand the real context of life, you would only be too glad to be alive. It once happened, a salesman decided to venture into a new housing development. He thought no other salesman would have gone there because it was a new development. He wanted to be the first one, the early bird. So he knocked on the very first house that he saw there. A lady came and opened the door. Without giving her a chance to speak, he slipped into her house, took a lot of cow dung from his bag and threw it all over the new carpet. He said, "See, I have a wonder vacuum cleaner. Watch this. I will clean this carpet without leaving the slightest odor. If I don't do this, I will eat every piece of this dung myself." This lady asked, "Would you like some tomato sauce to go with it? Because we still do not have electricity in this house." If you feel you have a bad deal in life and you should commit suicide because of it, what you really need is a little bit of tomato sauce. Eating just a dung, you feel like dying. With tomato sauce, it tastes a little better and then you suddenly want to live. There are many people for whom life is not happening the way they want it to, but they don't turn suicidal because they have a hope that tomorrow things will be better. The poor man on the street buys a lottery ticket, so he has to live for a month at least until the results are out. He has the hope that when he wins the lottery, he will live like a king. After the results are out, there is the next lottery for him. This is how he keeps going. He does not turn suicidal, but for the rich man, the lottery has already happened and he knows it does not make too much of a difference. There is a deep sense of hopelessness. It is not that you have to consciously seek suicide, you will become death oriented because the experience of life has become unpleasant. It is only natural that you will try to dodge anything that is unpleasant. This is why, unless you make your experience of life very sweet, you will naturally become death oriented, not life oriented. Fundamentally, people want to commit suicide because in some way they don't know how to handle their life. It is like you want to find a permanent solution to a temporary situation in life. That is all it is. Either they don't know how to handle their emotions, thoughts, physical ailments, financial or family situation. There is something they don't know how to handle. When you are trapped in that situation, it may look like it is the end of the world in your understanding. Essentially, you don't know how to handle a specific aspect of your life. So you think the best thing is to end life. It is ignorance about the nature of life. In my perception, I would say about 5% of people are committing suicide because of incurable diseases which they do not know how to handle. It is so painful and horrible that they feel it is better to die. Another 2-3% of the people are committing suicide because they are trapped in horrible situations. They are in a war zone or in the hands of an enemy or somewhere else where they are being super exploited and have no way to get away from it. There may be another 10 to 15% who are committing suicide for financial reasons because they feel trapped in a society which is ruled by money. They may have a family and end up without any money and they just don't know what to do with themselves. They will end up on the street and have a horrible life. They cannot think of themselves being like a homeless man out there begging for food and living. They just cannot imagine the indignity of that, so they commit suicide. So about 20% of the people committing suicide need to be treated compassionately because life has been cruel to them in some way. There are people who are being tortured by the world. The world is not compassionate to them and they get trapped in certain kinds of debilitating situations. Unfortunately, they decide to take their own life because if they live, it is worse. For these people, it is the world that needs to be fixed. A lot of fixing is needed in the world because sometimes people do terrible things to each other. There is also a small percentage of people who want to end their life just like that, not for any reason. They have nothing else to do today, so they want to end it. Trust me, there are people like that. I am talking about a life that just wants to end. They have no suffering, no depression, nothing. Simply they feel like dying today. I could safely say about 2 to 5% of the people have that tendency. This is another kind. Then there are those on the spiritual path who think they should end it. When someone is spiritually evolving, a moment like this comes because your intellect is not able to grasp the profoundness of the experience that is happening to you. So, today, let us say you sat down in meditation and felt like you were totally bodiless. Then the first thing your mind says is, maybe I am ready to leave. It will try to interpret it as, it is enough, everything has happened. Really? There are people at the yoga center who keep writing to me every 6 months saying, I think I am just ready to leave. But when I ask them not to eat one meal, they struggle with even that. These people must understand that their interpretation of what is happening is completely wrong because they don't have an intellect capable of grasping what the hell is happening within them. For every little experience beyond the body, your mind or intellect may start saying, oh, I am ready to die. No, you are not ready to die. It is just that with any dimension of experience beyond physicality, you think it is death. You don't understand there is a whole dimension of existence which is beyond the body, which is for the living, not for the dead. Unfortunately, most people enter that realm only with death. That is a different matter. But the nature of the intellect is such, okay, if this is not life, what else is it? This must be death. So these people think they should die. People who are on the spiritual path who feel every now and then that their time has come need firm guidance. This is why spiritual processes were always conducted tightly under the supervision of a guru. Your spiritual process is not yours, it is his. This looks scary in the 21st century, but that much discipline needs to be maintained in spiritual seekers so that there is no question of you jumping into something because of the wrong conclusions you make in the process of your evolution. You should not you should know that if life is not making enough sense to you, it is obvious that you don't have enough sense. Instead of saying that I lack sense, you are projecting that life does not make sense. Of the remaining people, there are those who kill themselves because they have a predisposition towards suicide. They want to terminate life even if there are no external stimuli for doing so. If you notice, there is always a small percentage of people who are suicidal no matter what you do. No matter how you counsel them or what treatment you give, they will keep going back to being suicidal over and over again. For some reason, in these people, their karmic software has developed a glitch and it keeps attempting to shut down again and again. These are different kind. For the rest of the people, their urge to commit suicide is fundamentally rooted in ignorance. Usually, people who are struggling hard in difficult situations will never commit suicide. Even though 1,000 things don't happen the way they want, they will work harder, but they will not commit suicide. But people who sit in one place and think life is not happening the way they want will commit suicide because they are dwelling on that. Probably more things in my life are not happening the way I want than in your life. But I don't dwell on that because I have 1,000 other things to do. If you sit alone in a room and go on thinking about how many things are not happening your way, you will feel like ending your life. This is how it is. However, for the majority of people, this thing about them wanting to end their life is just a lot of drama. Please see, whenever you feel suicidal, it is only because life is not happening the way you want it to happen. Today, if life is not going the way you want it to go, you want to end your life. But if things get a little better tomorrow morning, you will start making plans for the future. By tomorrow morning, if something is going right, you want to live. And you want to live long enough to have your third baby. You even want to have grandchildren. But when everything looks bleak, you think of suicide. This is a self-destructive game that you are playing in your mind. There is no existential basis to it.